India, we saw Dubai, Oman, all of it. So yeah, wow, Portugal, amazing. Poland, wow, that's really nice. Germany, India. India is closer, but Europe is quite far, and it's very early for you guys, no? So good to know that this time can accommodate so many countries. We can kind of half of the world can participate. All right. 7 a.m. in Portugal. So thank you for joining, because it's a big effort to be at 7 a.m. and or in the middle of the afternoon, depends on where you are. Here in Australia, it's 6 p.m. And today we have Stuart and Leo talking about Outsystems updates and data fabric. So I'll give the voice, the stage to Leo. He's gonna start. So Leo, can you move the first slide or introduce yourself if everybody doesn't know you? I think it would be a good one.
All right. Do you want to introduce the agenda or?
Yeah, I can introduce the agenda first, but I should introduce the speakers first. I assume that everybody knows who Leo and Stuart are.
Get back.
Let's back. So Leo is the #1 Forge downloaded in the Outsystems MVP area. And Stu is the Outsystems Champion and the Development Manager in Hubby 24. Both very experienced in Outsystems. And I think you guys can introduce yourself even better than me. How many years you have in Outsystems, Leo and Stu?
I think working with Outsystems maybe 20, 21 years. Yeah, around that. I entered Outsystems as soon as I left college and never changed. Never left Outsystems. Yeah. So as Patty mentioned, I am #1 in the community, I guess mostly because of Forge components. I like publishing Forge components. They turn out to be useful. So lots of people download my Forge components. Well, very well known for that. I also work in Australia for Phoenix DX, head of expert services. And Stuart, would you like to introduce yourself?
So I've been programming for thousands of years. I started working on Outsystems about 2017. So it's about 8 years I've been working on it. I'm trying to catch Leonardo on the community, but he's such a really hard target. So yeah, and I've led a bunch of projects, worked for consultancy for a while, and now I'm working for Hub 24 and building an Outsystems team there.
Amazing. Awesome, it's still awesome, Leo. Let's go to the agenda. So we had the introductions. Now we have the speakers talking about the release notes and ODC data fabric, including the connector for O11. We are gonna have a Q&A at the end and a Kahoot, where we always have like 1 or 2 kits from Outsystems so the winners can get. And the questions are always about the presentation, and so pay attention so you can win the Outsystems swag at the end. And that's it. Let's kick off.
All right. Do you want to talk about this slide, Patty?
Oh yeah, this one. Stuart brought this. We are the organizers in this committee, and we are keen to have presenters. So please reach out to us at any time if you want to present in any Outsystems user group or be part of the organization. So you can talk to me, Patricia, Margaret, or Stuart, and we are super keen to welcome you with Outsystems in the Outsystems community organization. And let's move on.
All right. Now I can start. So what I'm gonna talk about is how Outsystems releases the new product. The ODC releases updates to the new product. And one first thing to note is, or that I wanted to highlight, is that ODC, which is the new product from Outsystems, is an evergreen platform. What does that mean, evergreen? It means it's always the latest, running the latest and greatest product updates, including new features, including security patches. So essentially, if you're using ODC, your applications are always running the latest stack and always patched for security vulnerabilities. So what does that mean? It means that when Outsystems releases a new feature or patches a security vulnerability, that gets applied to every ODC instance. So all customers are automatically updated and benefit automatically from those new features and security patches. You don't have to do anything. In some cases, you might need to download the ODC Studio to access some development features, but in terms of runtime vulnerabilities and runtime features, you have, when the features launch, you already have them available in your ODC instance. This is very different, for example, from the Outsystems 11 version, which you had to plan when you were going to upgrade to take advantage of new features and new security and bug fixes. And you had to, there's a whole process for upgrading application. In some cases, that took some time, like a few hours. In ODC, you have the ease of mind that this is under the Outsystems managed service. This is already applied to all the ODC instances. And Outsystems publishes all of the new features or new updates that is being done to ODC. There's always a blog post on this URL, product updates, and it's very frequent that they release new features or security patches. Some of the features are small, for example, availability in some regions or some new configuration to allow emails. We'll see a few of those in a moment. But the point is, these are new features that get applied to your ODC instance, new capabilities that are done without you needing to do anything. And it's like Christmas almost every week that you get all of these new enhancements done to your ODC instance. So this has the full list of all of the updates that are launched. And I'm going to talk about a few of them in chronological order. Not all of them, but I think I selected the most interesting to discuss here and to give you an overview of the value you're getting just by having an ODC instance. All of these new updates accumulate and give you more value as time goes on. So this was launched in September last year, the Agent Workbench. Essentially, it allows you to create agents within ODC. So again, that's a feature that just one day just showed up in ODC, and there you go. You can now create AI agents. The way it works is when you create an application, you can now choose to create an AI agent instead. Select a model. There's also a trial model that you don't need to pay for it. Outsystems kind of covers the cost with some fair usage limitations. And select your model, just program or implement what your agent needs to do using prompts, and there you go. You have your agent. Same day that the agents was done, Outsystems also launched pre-edition. So this was something that was highly anticipated by Outsystems. If you had to learn or explore ODC, you couldn't do that on your personal time. You had to have your company pay for an instance for you to use it, explore, and learn. Now you can request a free instance. Again, there's some fair usage footnotes that you have to abide by, but you have 1 GB of storage. That is plenty for you to learn and explore the platform. And you also have this AI access to AI models, as I mentioned, also under the fair usage policy. Slightly later in October, there's a feature that allows you to, so workflows had already been launched, I think, for over a year or more, and they added a capability for you to redirect the workflow execution to a different step on the workflow in order to reuse steps. So if you have a workflow that branches, at the end of a particular branch, you can now go to a different activity from another branch. So you don't need to duplicate that code. You can just directly navigate to that step. Again, at one day, this just showed up in ODC, and you could start using it. No upgrades or no process to follow to take advantage of this capability. New configuration added to SMTP, especially for more modern organizations that require, or rather forbid, the use of username password. They typically require use of OAuth authentication with client ID and client secret. So Outsystems added that configuration, and you can integrate with SMTP without revealing any usernames and passwords, just by using the client ID and client secret configuration. There was launched in November last year, so you can see I skipped a few of these updates, by the way. If you go to the link, you will see many more updates, but you can see there were a couple months or 3 months in, and many features, interesting features, had already been launched. This one tackles the migration from O11 to ODC. So if you have a large library of applications in O11 and you want to plan your migration to ODC, you want to know what are the changes that you have to do to your O11 applications, so they are compatible with the ODC platform. And this application, or this framework or assessment tool, was released in November. You install it in your O11 environment, and it analyzes your applications and tells you which applications still need to be refactored or improved before moving to ODC, and which ones are ready for ODC. Okay, so you get a dashboard with green colors for the applications that are ready, and other colors for assessment failed, and etc. And you also get a report on which issues have been found and how to fix them. In December, so this was maybe one notable update or notable release. I'm focusing on new features or new capabilities every month so far. And this, I think this was a big one. It's a completely new framework for you to implement mobile applications. So as you can see, the look and feel is very modern and feels native. And this was kind of a departure from Outsystems UI. It's a new framework that allows you to target specifically mobile applications. It has great documentation. I suggest you browse it and learn what's possible with that new framework. It's called Mobile UI, and again, at this particular date, you got a new button in Odyssey Studio called Create Mobile UI Application, and from there it already installs. Actually, it was already installed. The framework was already installed, and you could just reference it straight away. Last one, I think, if I'm not mistaken, last one was in January this year. There are more after that, but I had to reserve some time for Stuart for the remaining of the presentation, so I'm going to stop here, which is a good segue because he will talk about this one in particular in more detail. This was a feature that allows you to connect the ODC and O11 fabrics so you can access the database. And in particular, you can now run AI agents and use your Outsystems 11 data as grounding data for those agents. But I'm not going to delve too much deeper into this because next half an hour is just Stuart talking about that. Stuart, are you ready? Do you want me to give control to you?
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll if you can stop presenting, I'll start presenting.
Of course.
Awesome. Right. And right, so you should see. Can everyone see my screen there? It doesn't look to me like you can. All right. Okay, it should say ODC Data Fabric, including Nectar. All right. There we go. That's better. So, this well, first of all, I've just come back from the Winter Olympics, and don't look at these medals too closely. They might look like they're participation only running medals, but that's not the case at all. So we're going to talk about, apart from the Winter Olympics, Data Fabric, the pre-built connectors, what to do when we have nulls in our database, what to do when our data sources are not publicly available, which is probably everyone's, right? And the cloud connector, which you need to use to access those internal data sources. And the big one, ODC Data Fabric connector for Outsystems 11. So, well, Data Fabric is really just the way you connect to external data sources. It's a lot more powerful, but it's quite similar to what we used to have in Outsystems 11, still do, with the integration tool where that actually did data sources, if you ever used that, as well as doing external code. So this is the data sources side of it. We have pre-built connectors. What it gives us is a uniform data representation, which basically means that the data entities you're importing from your external data sources look just like Outsystems data sources. And you can use aggregates and all of the same stuff that you do to access that data. It persists the connection securely. So it essentially encrypts the connection information. So it's safe. So you don't have to worry about someone getting access to your data when they shouldn't. And I noticed when I was messing around with this in ODC that you get this little pop-up and it says book a free session. And so you can go and book a session with an Outsystems expert to help you use Data Fabric. So kind of awesome. Here's all the pre-built connectors that are there at the moment. Sure, there'll be more being added as we go, but just having a look, we've got Amazon Kendra, we've got all the Aurora stuff, Salesforce, SAP, Azure, AI Search, SQL Server, also SQL Server just on its own, MySQL, Oracle, Postgres, even something called CERT API. I had to look that up. I didn't know what that was. It's some sort of scraping API. I thought we never did that anymore, but apparently we still do. Now, Outsystems doesn't use null. I think we all know that, but databases still do have nullable fields, and sometimes we use the null values, even though we know we shouldn't. Sometimes we still do. So we need options for handling, for when we're bringing that data into Outsystems, we need options for what we're going to do with it. So the two options are, we can overwrite the database null values. So we read them in, they read in as the default values. And then when we write that data back out, it actually overwrites that null value with the default value. So like 0 for an integer or false for Boolean. So that's option one, override. That's the default value. Well, sorry, it's the default setting. The other one is keep database null values. So I'm working with on one project at the moment where we do have some nulls in the database that are meaningful and that we do want to keep. So we're using keep database null values. Now what that will do is when you have a null value, it will come into Outsystems with those values. You'll recognize some of those. So the 1st of January 1900, that's what empty dates are in Outsystems. The times, date times. Interestingly, by default, we have the negative max values for those integer, long integer, and decimal. That's a negative Brazilian, I think. By default, the text is empty. Sometimes, though, you might want to keep an empty string in your database, because if you just leave that empty, what will happen if you bring in an empty string and then write it back out to the database, this will make that value null. So you may want to do what I've done here and make up some value that you're never really going to use for real to be that null value. Now, remember when you're doing this, you'll need to write some client actions for formatting to, if the value is negative to billion, whatever, you'll have to format that integer as a null, whatever way you want to display that. There's one problem with this. Booleans only have true or false. But when you have a nullable Boolean, you have 3 values. So the secret there is you actually map, when you're doing your mapping for your data sources, you map that to an integer. So then you'll have a -2 billion whatever for null, and a 0 and a 1 for false and true. Right, because essentially in most databases, a Boolean's just a bit field with 0 and 1, as you well know. All right, so when you have data sources that are not public, not available to everyone, which basically means, you're probably building stuff commercially, right? Which is what we all do. So we need to use a private gateway. Now that's an add-on feature to ODC, so you'll have to pay a little bit for that. You pay it once though, then you can just add as many gateways as you like. So you get that add-on, and then you go and activate private gateways. That also uses, so that's on the ODC side, the private gateway. That's an AWS feature, private gateway. Then you use the cloud connector and you run that in your own environment. And the cloud connector will connect to ODC. So there's no incoming traffic into your network, only outgoing. So the cloud connector, how to get that? Well, that's on GitHub. You can download that. It's binary. There's a Docker image that you can use if you want to run it in Docker. You can run it in Linux subsystem for Windows. You can even run Docker on that, apparently, because I just did that yesterday when I was preparing for this. And if you need to configure a firewall, you just need to configure access to your Outsystems URL, so organization.outsystems.app. The README on GitHub has great instructions, so just take a look at that. Now, running it, there we go, Windows subsystems for Linux or Docker. To install WSL, just go to the command line as an admin, WSL -- install. Installs it. It's awesome. You need to give a username and a password, and you need to, save that password somewhere so you can get to it. Now, so what I did, I then installed Docker for desktop. On top of that, I installed that from Windows Store, and then if you haven't got a Docker account, you need to create a Docker account. So I do that, and then you just use Docker pool, get that image, then you've got that image that you can run. Now, when you run it, you need to give it a command line with the token and an address. Now, when you activate a private gateway in ODC, that's what it gives you. It gives you a token and an address. And so this is how the cloud connector connects to your private gateway in your instance of ODC. You can see you've got, your organization's URL and some big long URL with SG on the front of it. And then those that IP address and those ports there, that's Docker configuration for the ports you're going to use. All right, you need to mention that port in your private gateway configuration too. That's it. No, that just connects and works. It's beautiful. It works easily. All right. Now, what you've all been waiting for, ODC Data Fabric Connector for Outsystems 11. First of all, you need to enable this in your subscription. Once you've done that, you need to expose those entities from Outsystems 11 lifetime. So we're starting out in Outsystems 11 here. We're going to use these entities in ODC. But once we switch this on, you'll see in lifetime you've got an extra tab there called Expose Entities. Click on that, and if you haven't created a baseline yet, you'll be asked to configure a baseline environment. What is that? Well, that's where you just select the entities that you're going to expose to ODC. Now, there's a few caveats here. You can't expose system entities. You can't expose static entities if they're in just a library. Static entities from an application, though, that's fine. And any tenant entities will be read-only. So you can expose them, but they're going to be read-only. And if it's an Oracle database, sorry everyone, it's going to be read-only if it's Oracle. Just at the moment, that'll change soon, I'm sure. If it's SQL Server, then you get read and write. Okay, so what that does, it creates views in your Outsystems 11 database. Right, so that'll be in the development environment if that's where you create your baseline, which that's probably what you want to do. Then what you have to do is promote those entities that you've exposed into each subsequent environment. So it's doing a deployment, essentially. This is called promotion, though. And it'll create or update those views in the next environment. Well, here we go. So you can update as well. So you can see there you've got a little drop down where you can say update view. So that's kind of like updating your dependencies, except this is a kind of like a deployment, but it's a promotion. And that's it. And then you can see them in ODC. You can just reference them and use them in your applications, or as Leonardo mentioned, in your agentic AIs. And that's it. That's Data Fabric and Data Fabric Connector for Outsystems 11. Questions for Leonardo or myself? Feel free to ask about my escapades at the Winter Olympics. But, so either that or, Outsystems is fine.
You can send the question in the chat if you don't want to talk as well. Silence. Da-da-da-da.
You still can't connect a product database to a different ODC environment. Yeah, that's right. For the database connector. Oh, thanks, Bruno. You're an absolute star. You can only connect prod to prod from Outsystems 11 to ODC. That is a limitation. That's exactly right. Thanks, Bruno. You probably know that Bruno is the data migration guy, so he knows all of his stuff. Not just that, but that's one of the things. Yeah. I've got one for Leo. What were some of the things that you left out? Is there anything interesting there that you didn't have time for?
There's quite a few adding support to others regions, AWS regions, like I think there was adding support for Ireland and I think Singapore as well. That was recent. A few improvements to AI Mentor, which is the code analysis tool that gives you a report of if it finds any vulnerability or performance improvement in your code. It will tell you what you need to change to fix them. There was similar to the mobile UI, which is a UI framework, there was also some new ways for you to build a library to use device, in mobile applications, to use device capabilities like GPS and camera and all of that. I didn't check exactly how that was done, but the documentation said it was exposed via JavaScript. So you don't need to write Objective-C or Kotlin to use those features. You can just use JavaScript.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, at least that was like what I read in 2 to 5 minutes. I didn't actually play with it. But yeah, there's many more, if we go back a few years ago. So that was only, in the last 5 or 6 months.
Yeah. The speed of the updates is actually incredible.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's great that you don't have to do anything to take advantage of the updates.
Yeah, yep. All right.
I think we are ready for Kahoot. Oh, no, we have another one.
Right. So Bruno is asking about AI Mentor using natural language to edit applications. So you must be talking about Mentor Studio. I know it's confusing, but AI Mentor, I think it's the code analysis tool, and Mentor Studio is the application editor.
Yeah.
I don't think you can use natural language directly as you're saying, but you can, for example, right-click or click a drop-down button in an entity, and then write a prompt like add created by and modified by attributes, or add foreign key to something else, and that changes the entity, and it also changes the screens, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So you can edit a few things, I think mostly driven by changes in the data model. I don't think it changes the UI. I mean, if you change the data model, it reflects on the UI, but I don't think you have the expressiveness to change the UI using natural language. Not yet, at least.
Yeah. It can add new parts to an application like that. But yeah. Yeah, we kind of play with it every couple of months and see where it's at. But I think they added a few more design templates behind the scenes in the last few months as well.
Yeah. It's always evolving, so
Yeah.
what might not work today might work tomorrow.
I think Bruno's all out of questions. Thanks, Bruno.
Hackathon.
Ooh.
I believe there is a hackathon in the plans. I've heard about it, but I don't really know the dates for that. Let me see if I can find it. I think I think that the date is still not there. Sorry, I don't know. I think there will be a hackathon, but I don't know when.
Yeah, Outsystems seems to be releasing like little sort of AI challenges. They've released one. I think there's another one coming if it hasn't already been released. So I expect another few of those might happen too.
The latest one is like a puzzle, mystery puzzle, isn't it?
I can't remember.
Yeah. You're like in a city and you have to find clues to solve the puzzle. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
All right. Is that time for the Kahoot, you think?
Yes. Archie, you?
Share my screen. All right. Okay, so to those of you who haven't played Kahoot before, Just go into the website and enter the game pin so you can join. Rules of the game, it's a multiple choice question. We have eight questions in total for this session. We've got 3 questions for what Leo discussed, and then we've got 5 from Stu, also about Olympics a little bit. Yeah, you've got 20 seconds to answer. The quicker you answer the correct answer, the higher the points you get. And for the top 3 winners, I'll share my email here. Please send me, shoot me an email, and don't forget to screenshot your whether you're in a mobile phone or screen, just to include that in the email, please. Thank you. How many do we have? 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's give a few more seconds. Sorry, Dinesh. I'll mute you. Just a bit of background noise there. Okay, I think we're ready to start. All good. Oop, good job. We've got 10. Anyone else? All right. I'll click start. Okay. The first question, in terms of security updates, the ODC platform is self-managed, evergreen, manually updated, or unsupported. Three people got it right. Correct answer is evergreen. Let's see. Well done, Viola, followed by Mukesh and Bruno. Next question. What is the frequency of updates applied to ODC? Almost every day, almost every week, at the end of each quarter, before each user group presentation. Or when Leonardo says so. Correct answer is almost every week. Viola, well done. And now we've got Victor in 2nd place. And Mukesh, 3rd place. Hagar, M, which is on 5th place. Next question. What is the name of the newly released framework for building mobile applications? Outsystems Mobile Kit, Outsystems UI, Material UI, Mobile UI. Well done. 7 people answered correctly. Mobile UI. Viola is still at the top. Well done, well done. Mukesh and Victor, followed by M and Samya. Now let's go to Stu's questions. What does Data Fabric do? I like that 3 people answered. Keeps Data warm at the Olympics. Nice one. So 5 people answered the correct response. Let's see. Viola still in first place. Very good. We've got Victor and Samya. Next one. What are some pre-built data fabric connectors? I think I know the answer. It's the green one. Salesforce, SAP, and SQL Server. That's well done. I think one probably is a fan of curling or skeleton, but oh, good. M is on 3rd place, and Bruno is on 5th place. All right. What are the null handling options in Data Fabric? I think we could also ask the question, like, how many times did Stu say null in the session? Override or keep is the correct answer. Well done. All right. Well done, Viola. All 6 correct answers in a row. Second to the last question, what ODC add-on is required for internal database connections? This is a very small image. Auditing Sentry Private Gateway or Memorial Helmet. Private Gateway is the correct answer. Well done. And on to the last question. How do you expose entities from O11 to ODC? Expose entities in lifetime, O11 aggregates, REST API connector, or Window modules. All right. Correct answer is letter A. Oh, sorry, there's no letter. The red one, exposed entities and lifetime. Let's see. Who wins? 3rd place, we've got M. Victor, 2nd place. And the 1st place goes to Viola, who has 8 out of 8 correct answers. Very well done. Thank you so much. And M, I don't know who you are, so please. I know Viola has a name on the list. We've got Victor, but M, please tell me who you are. I will share my JMG. Yes, I think I know who you are, but please still email me, margaret@phoenixdx.com.
Oh. All good?
All good. Thank you. Thanks
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming, and see you next month.
Thanks,
Thank
Patty.
you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.